Welcome one, welcome all. Welcome to the greatest online munch truck spectacular, that is MonsterCast. As usual, I'm your co-host, Mason Paul. Along with us is the man that needs, no introduction himself, Cameron Miguez. How was your show this weekend?
Well, for one, if I don't need an introduction, why'd you give me an introduction?
I don't know. It was just in the script I put together this morning.
You might want to do a rewrite.
Yeah, it's kind of didn't get to really get to re-preview it. It's kind of like, yeah, that's good. Just went with it.
All right, cool. No, weekend was good. Had a good weekend. We down in Van Buren, Arkansas. Had Austin Mitten, Tyler Singer, or as we renamed him, Tyler Schweishwashinger, because he made up a new word. Dave Too Tall Ulfert and Dawson Reyes had a great show. Hotter than blazes of hell. I'm pretty sure I got sweat still in places, even though I've showered twice since. But no, it was a great weekend. I heard some other shows went good. New Hampshire went good with Cretan and Dawn. My brother's out in Haines, Kansas. Had a good time. I'm sure there was a show in Tijuana. Donkey show went fairly well. So I think all over and all, a successful weekend. Did you do anything this weekend or just sit there in your dungeon?
Sat there in the dungeon, got to watch my cat bring in a mouse. That was pretty cool. That's about it.
Wow, action-packed. Life and Times with Mason Paul. You ever thought about starting your own YouTube channel?
I actually have. I just don't really post like blogs or whatnot. Just kind of have it up there.
Well, you just need to put a full-time camera running, but put it on a motion sensor, and that way the 23 hours a day you're asleep, it's not wasting space, but the 1 hour you actually get up and move around.
See.
I'm just kidding, Mason. And you know what? I screw with Mason, but everybody watching, I just want to say, if it wasn't for Mason, this podcast would absolutely suck 10 times worse than it already does. I really do nothing for it except for this part right here. Everything else, everybody sees. That's all Mason, and I mean that sincerely. So I couldn't do it without him, but he could easily do this without me. But with that said, just so we give everybody a heads up, the plan is we're going to have Scott Heaton and Ken Navitsky on. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties with Scott, so we're going to try, and Mason's going to jump out and bring them two in. It's going to try to be the three of us, me, Kenny, and Scott talking for a while. And then when it's time for questions, I'm going to back out. Mason's going to come in and ask some questions. If it doesn't quite work, then what we're going to do is if we're still having problems, we're going to kick Kenny out for a little while. We'll just go one-on-one with Scott, talk to him, let you guys ask him some questions for the first half of the show, and then we'll let him go and have Kenny come in and talk to him. So we will have them both one way or the other. But, Mason, without further ado, let's get these boys on here and get some announcer talk going.
Yep.
Scott Heaton with Road Noise Entertainment. Looking forward to being on MonsterCast this Sunday. Monster Truck fans, check it out. Ken Navitsky here, and I've been announcing for quite a while. It's been well over 10 years. Going to be doing a podcast with my boy Scott Heaton and Cam. Make sure you guys check in and find out what's going on, where I've been, what I've been doing, and where we're going.
Right on. Looks like
great times. Monster Life right here.
Well, two truly best of the best right here, Scott Heaton and Ken Navitsky. How are we, gentlemen?
I'm doing fantastic, man.
Doing well,
It's just see my boy Scotty Heaton over there all the way out in Sasquatch country. I love it.
Can you hear us okay, Scott?
every place that's got the big mannequin statue of a Sasquatch Bigfoot, I think of Ken Navitsky.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us okay, Scott? Is this going to work, or are we going to have to try it different?
I think we're going to have to just go to two. You guys are really crackly, and it's hard to.
Let's go.
But when it's just the two of us, everything seems to. I can hear, and your mouth movements actually make the sounds. So let's try it.
Okay, so let's do.
I'll stay in and listen, and when you're ready, pull me back in. I'm here.
Yep. All right, Mason. Let's kick Kenny out. All right, Scott. Can you hear me now?
I can, pal.
All right.
So where were you at this weekend?
I was in Van Buren, Arkansas, announcing for a 2 Extreme Racing show.
Nice, Van Buren. I think I did a commercial for that one.
Yes, you did. You did. No, it was a good show, but so all right, now that you can hear me and actually understand me, let's talk about how Scott Heaton, my hero, got started in the announcing game.
Well, the only reason that I'm talking for a living now is because I was a very, very bad dirt bike racer. I started off in the early 1990s because I was racing outdoor motocross, and I was what I call a 6-week guy. Every 6 weeks I got hurt. So I would have some kind of crutches or sling or cast, and so I would be out for 6 weeks. I didn't really rehab or get back in shape, or I just waited until it didn't hurt anymore. I got back on the bike, I would fall off. And about the third or fourth time it happened, the place that I raced dirt bikes at in Clarkia, Idaho, called the Fossil Bowl, and it's called the Fossil Bowl because they actually dig up 65 million year old fossils. I was hurt, but I was there, and the guy said, "Hey, I'll give you $50 and buy you a hamburger if you'll come talk on the PA." And from there, it just snowballed. I ended up having a different promoter at that racetrack that said, "Hey, would you come over to Western Washington and announce my dirt bike races?" That's Lee Collins with WHR Motorsports. And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And he gave me, I think it was $125 and a hotel room. So I would drive 7 hours one way to get there. I would sit inside a horse barn with 400 dirt bikes and talk for 12 hours straight. And out of that, he was friends with Steve Wood with USA Motorsports. And Steve happened to be there just visiting Lee. And after the day was over, he walked up and said, "Hey, would you like to come do some events for me?" And the dollar figure to it was considerably more than the dirt bikes. And I did one. And then at the end of that night, and this was monster trucks. I had never seen a monster truck in my life besides on TV. I was a Bigfoot fan because that's what was in the movies and on TV.
Right.
I might have driven by a grocery store parking lot one time when I was a kid that had a monster truck on display, but never seen one. So I went to the Western Washington State Fair in Monroe, Washington, and I did an event there that actually had Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger. There was a food truck there. I think maybe Eric Tack was driving. Anyway, it was a pretty good field. And the night before that I did the event, Reba McEntire was the musical talent at the fair, and all of her sound system was still set up. Now, I'd been talking in Clarkie, Idaho, over 5 horns that were made back in 1962 into a 500-acre field. So to sit down at a professional level sound system, I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. The action was unbelievable. I really had a ball with it. And when I was done, Steve Wood said, "Hey, I think I found an announcer." And I started traveling week in and week out with USA. And then in April of '98, after a couple of years of traveling with USA Motorsports, they were obviously purchased by Pace Motorsports, which is now Feld Entertainment. And I had a 19-year run there until, things changed. But, I didn't work. I don't just do monster trucks. I don't just do dirt bikes. I've been fortunate enough to do bicycles, skateboards, competitive dog events, just a little bit of everything. And it's kept me going now for over 20 years. It's 25 years ago, I got my very first professional paycheck. And 25 years later, I'm hoping to see another one in 2020.
Well, so, talk about the difference. So you're talking about all the different events you do. You do dog shows, you do bicycle. Do you approach them all the same? Like bicycle events, you really don't have to keep the crowd amped up like you're trying to at a monster truck show. Monster truck show, you have a lot of kids. I can't imagine at a dog show, you have a lot of 4-year-olds wanting to see the Doberman. How do you approach all those different events?
Well, like I say, I came from a dirt bike background, and I've always kind of done everything that same way. Everybody deserves.
Every time you announce?
What's that?
You're saying you get hurt every time you go out and announce? You'd fall down and get hurt? That's how you did dirt bikes.
No. As far as preparing or calling a race, calling a dog event, calling a monster truck show, I've kind of always done it the same way. I've never been the guy that just the best get talked about. If we had Gravedigger at a monster truck show and we also had some kid on a pogo stick as a in between filler act, I treated that kid on the pogo stick like he was the biggest, baddest, best thing ever in the world. And that's the same way I've always done dirt bikes, from the peewees through the age group classes into the professional ranks. I tried to. Everybody was a star. Everybody was Ricky Carmichael. Everybody was Jeremy McGrath. Everybody was Dennis Anderson, Tom Mintz. Everybody to me has always been the star. And like the dog events, I treated it the same way. Name, hometown, make, model, breed of the dog, their outstanding achievements, their awards, everything that I could glean or gather about the team, I would do. And like I say, whenever they came on the dock this is called dock dogs, which is dock diving, they have 3 different disciplines. They jump for distance, they jump for height, and then they have a drag race, which is called speed retrieve, which is a jump, a swim, and a pull for an actual electronic time. So I've always treated it that way of just, I got my roots in the dirt bike thing, and I just kind of kept that same mentality or strategy or outlook to today.
Well, now I met you through Monster Jam, obviously, crewing for Jimmy and my brother and stuff, and I did a ton of shows with you. And I was always so impressed with you of how you always seemed to shoot from the hip. And it never, nothing ever caught you off guard. You always just rolled. And the way you talked, for one, there was the passion behind it, the speed behind it, never missing a beat. But at the same time, it was like you weren't even trying. Did it just really come that natural to you? Or is this just a method and training you picked yourself up and taught yourself how to do it this way?
Well, Kim, I would answer that by saying, sitting in a horse barn facility with 400 plus dirt bikes and the need to just keep rolling is probably prepped me for later in life when I was actually doing events in front of fans and a camera. As far as being able to just think quick, be quick-witted, it's always what I see, and I don't have any problems seeing something and then verbalizing what I'm seeing. And I think as a live event announcer, the only thing that I really trained myself on was saying things twice, because typically you can almost look out into the grandstand, make an announcement about, hey, make sure and get your Gravedigger t-shirt. And you would see somebody lean over and you could tell what their mouth, they were saying, what did he say? So I figured out a way to say things twice, just not back to back, open with what I want to deliver and then close with the same line. That way you can, like I said, probably the only thing that I really thought about and trained myself to go, hey, make sure that they understand and hear what you're saying. If you got something to say, it should be worthwhile.
Right. Well, now, one time you did tell me something, and I actually took this to heart, and I've used it, is you told me that in your brain you had essentially a ticker tape rolling, and that's what you read whenever you had to say certain things. And I actually adapted that. And when you first told me, it was like, well, that makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. Until I tried it, and it was like, holy shit, this works. I mean, where did that come about, or is that just natural?
Well, that came from the early days of Monster Jam. There was so much. From once the house lights went dark and Spotlight came on me, when I first started with Monster Jam, we had 5 elements of the show. There was monster trucks, there was dirt bikes, there was pro arena trucks or tough trucks, there was some kind of a thrill act like Serge Beaulieu flatlanding a dirt bike or setting himself on fire. And years later, it was Jen Schneider and Rob Schneider blowing themselves up, shooting themselves out of a cannon. So there was 4 or 5, maybe even sometimes 6 different elements of a show. And the people that were producing the shows at that time, they wanted the fans to have an overview or a rundown, a track explanation, if you will, exactly what was going on throughout the night. And with all of that, honest to God, as soon as the house went dark and Spot came on me, if you could actually get a camera up on me, I had my eyes shut. I was just wandering the back and forth in my own head, thinking about what's next. I would memorize the format, and memory work for me has always been pretty easy. So I would memorize the format, and I would try to give the people a breakdown from once I'm done rambling on and we're done with our wonderful, beautiful American national anthem. Here's what you're going to get. And all the way up to intermission. And then I'm going to tell you about after intermission, because back in those days, our shows were way, way longer. Recoveries took longer. The show was longer. So I would have promoters in my ear at 9 o'clock reminding the fans, don't go anywhere. Freestyle, Monster Truck Freestyle is still to come, because we would start losing families with young kids because it was getting late for a long show. So the read basically came from just memorizing the format. And then I went to a family function one time, and my grandma, she was probably 75 years old at the time. She says, now, what is it that you do? And as I was telling what my job was, I realized, hey, this is exactly what I need to do in my segments of an event. I need my grandma to understand what's happening in front of her. I need a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old kid to understand what they're seeing and why. Everybody wants to see a monster truck upside down on fire, right? But you can't have that every time with every truck, every event. Well, you can, but it just really isn't going to happen that way. So the reading of the ticker tape kind of came from that, of trying to make sure that grandma would get what we're doing.
Well, okay, so, I mean, like I said, I've always known you as a shoot from the hip guy. As your career went on a Monster Jam, things became a little more guidelined, let's say, or scripted, lack of a better word. Was it easy to adapt to that, or was it hard for you to go to more of a controlled, this is the certain things I have to say, I make sure I say them this way? I mean, how hard was that for you to get used to?
Cam, that's probably 95 to 99.9% of the reason I'm no longer with Monster Jam is I didn't. They gave me this book. I had meetings to have meetings about a meeting to tell me how to do, and I just didn't. I just didn't do it. The last 2 years of my run at Monster Jam were the first 2 years of their scripted thing, and I just didn't participate in it. I did what I do. I did Rude Noise Entertainment and Scott Heaton, and that's probably a bad thing because I'm no longer with Monster Jam. Maybe in hindsight I could have changed, but their script didn't make sense to me. If a monster truck is upside down and on fire, that's, to me, wasn't the time to make sure everybody got a bag of cotton. That, to me, wasn't the time to promote a website. So, bad on me probably, but no, I didn't participate, Cam, and that's probably why I'm not there.
Well, so here in a couple minutes, I'll let Mason kick me out and bring you in, and we'll let the fans ask you guys some questions. I'm sure people got some interesting stuff to ask you, but normally I never have a prepared question, but I actually thought of one this week, and I was going to ask you guys earlier if you could think about it, but I didn't get a chance to. But I know in my short little stint here of the 15 shows I've announced, my biggest screw up. What is the biggest blunder you've had, whether it be something you said, eating shit, running around while you're announcing? I mean, what is just the biggest one that when you think back, you're like, damn, that was dumb?
I'll answer that question by starting off with doing this job, being a live event MC, being an announcer, being a host, which I don't believe in the host thing, but whatever. You got to have a short memory. You cannot beat yourself up. There was one time in Detroit, in the hometown of Ford, which was a major sponsor, with Tony Farrell, one of the coolest guys ever to drive a monster truck, driving Blue Thunder, the Ford-sponsored Monster Jam truck, which that just pissed me off that I said that, but Ford-sponsored monster truck. I failed to introduce him because he was out of my line of sight. I didn't go off of my piece of paper. I could just look around the stadium and see who was there. Well, his truck and his body was blocked by a freestyle motocross landing ramp. So I didn't introduce Tony. But you have to have a short memory. If you dwell on those things, it's going to get in your head. And then you're going to just one mistake after another. So you got to have a trigger on forgetting and moving on. Now, to answer your question specifically, we were in Roseburg, Oregon. There was a show boss by the name of Gary Edwards. At the time, those guys got $1,500 walking around money. That was in case they needed extra stuff, or maybe one of us went to jail and they needed bail, right? They had $1,500 walking around money. Well, this guy had spent all of his money on his children. He took them school shopping with that money. So he didn't have enough money to buy 9-volt batteries for the event. So he was just taking the batteries and putting them in the freezer portion of a mini fridge. And so that was when we were doing 3 and 4 shows a weekend. So Friday night, I struggled all the way through the event with just a microphone that cut out, wasn't working properly, swapped out 9 different batteries, and I would get 3 minutes per battery. Anyway, comes Sunday, and I said something about making sure that, we got fresh batteries, and it was during our patriotic tribute. And that's one of my favorite parts of my part of the show is the tribute, because I love America and I want to instill my passion in everybody else. So it was my portion of the show for a patriotic tribute, and the microphone was cutting out. Now, it was a Sunday show in Roseburg, Oregon at the Douglas County Speedway. There might have been 300 people in the stands, but of those 300, it was families. It was children and grandparents, right? So the more frustrated I got, because it just wasn't working, there was one point where I had the microphone up to my mouth, and I said probably the first or the second most dirty word in the English lexicon. It starts with M, and then in the middle way goes F, and MF, right? So in frustration, I said MF. And it was the only thing since Friday night that was clear. And at the Duncan Speedway is grandstands with a tin roof with horns pointed into the grandstand seating area. So not only did they hear it once, they got to hear it like 4 times as it reverberated around the building. I figured I was done right then and there. I figured that my career was over. Fortunately, nobody that mattered was there. Gary Edwards was soon let go. The tech officials that were there, they were on the ground rolling with laughter. Kevin Crow and Ray Weathers, they were rolling with laughter because they knew the frustration I'd been having. And they also knew that basically I was getting screwed over by a cheap guy.
Well,
but if you're gonna pick a word to say in public, that's not one.
Well, but to me, don't miss heaven by an inch. If you're gonna go.
Yeah, right.
Well, I can say, and I'll have to tell this story twice because I'll share it with Kitty too. But mine is, everybody knows I have bad eyesight, and we were in Pawhuska, Oklahoma a couple years ago, and I had Jimmy in Bounty and Darren in Nitro Menace racing in the finals. Well, I thought I knew which lane they were in, so they go and they race, and Darren wins. So I announce your winner is Darren Migas in Nitro Menace. And I walk out on the floor to interview Darren. And I'm like, the old driver just beat the old boss and all this. And I get out there and it's Jimmy. I had the lane switched up of who was who. And Jimmy actually won. But I'm just going on and on the whole way out to him about how awesome this is. The old employee beat his old boss and blah, blah, blah. And hey, Jim, how you doing? So that was my dumbest one.
I'm sure I had several of those too, miscalling the winner or saying the wrong name, because there's been times like in some of Jimmy's trucks, there was a lot of guys that were in and out of the trucks over the course of a year. And, so I would forget that it wasn't Nick, it was Todd. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, that's got to happen a lot to everybody.
Well, like I said, it wouldn't have been so bad if I wouldn't have gone on and on. If I would have just said, "Oh, Darren won," and "Oh no, wait, it was Jimmy." Sorry. Oh no, I am just bragging about Darren the whole way out there till I get to the center of the floor and realize it's Jim parked there and Jim won. It's like, whoops,
nice,
my bad. But all right, well. So, like I said, we're gonna cut this short a little bit with me. I'm gonna have Mason come back in, kick me out, and see what we have from the fans to ask Mr. Scott Heaton. And then Mason, when you get done with your last one, bring me in so I can give Scott a kiss on the hand and send him on his way.
All right, I'm all good with that right here. While we go ahead and line up a few of our questions, I do want to make sure that it's known, at least to Cam, that Dawn said, "Cam, I swear to not laugh at that." But going on with that, let's get on with the questions. Let's see, we have one from Levi Schoen saying, "Question for Scott, what has been your favorite event to announce at?"
Wow, that's that is actually a difficult question because there's been so many over the years. Dirt bike racing, I was able to call the World Mini Grand Prix, which is down in Las Vegas, Nevada. I found Travis Pastrana that weekend. He was still an intermediate class rider, and I got to call his motos. I knew he was going pro. I knew he was going to be something special. So that one's out of my mind. I was able to announce Ricky Carmichael's moto at the Loretta Lynn Amateur Nationals in Hurricane Mills, Tennessee. He had just turned into the 250 pros. I did the first 6 Monster Jam World Finals down in Las Vegas. I really couldn't. Great question. I really couldn't put my finger on one event that, man, I just want to do that all the time. I do the Sublimity Harvest Festival in Sublimity, Oregon, which is a tractor pull monster truck show. I've done that for now 15 years. So there's just so many that fall into that category for me of super special. Now, if you're asking me about my favorite venue, Salt Lake City, Utah, the Delta Center, which is whatever the New Energy Release Arena or something now, but the Delta Center, the reason I liked it best is they are an NBA building and they did not worry about loud. If I got loud, there wasn't anybody going, "Oh my God, turn it down." If the music got loud, there wasn't anybody going, "Oh my God, turn it down." They let us be loud.
Pretty great. Going on with a few more, we have one from Brandon Robbins right here saying, "I'll never forget my rookie screw up in Oregon. Scott made it clear that I was holding up the show." Bunch of emojis and saying it was pretty embarrassing.
Brandon Robbins was I think he's a pro arena truck racer, and then he crewed for a lot of guys out here on the West Coast too, on the monster truck side of it. And it doesn't surprise me. There's something to a live event. There's something to being the announcer. You're kind of directing the flow and keeping things moving. And when sometimes they know that they need to be pulled off of the racetrack, but they don't want to give up their chance. They don't want to give up their try, their opportunity, their lap, whatever it is. And they try. There comes a point that you got to just hook and go, man. You got to hook and go. Brandon, I'm sorry for that.
One from Dawn Cretan again. She's asking, do you have a favorite female monster truck driver?
Wow. That's a really good question as well. I would have to say that some of the most exciting drivers that I've gotten to see, Dawn Cretan is one of them. Dawn has always been really good at what she does. She knows her role, and she's always willing to push it a little bit past what Jimmy maybe tells her role is. So yeah, Dawn Cretan is one of my favorites. One of the super sweethearts of monster trucks ever was Kathy Winston. Kathy and her husband B drove in part of the deal way back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I really enjoyed her. Medusa, I was there when Medusa won her racing championship against Dennis Anderson. I would like to come up with audio of that event because I was pretty excited. I thought that was pretty neat that not only a girl won, but she won against one of the biggest names in the sport. It was a mudder. So she actually had to drive it. It wasn't luck. She had to drive the truck to win the race, and she did that. But I really couldn't say I have a favorite female driver. I think they're all awesome.
Definitely smart on that. But one question that I actually myself came up with thinking about, since we have two announcers on this Sunday evening, is for anyone that wants to be an announcer or trying to get up there, growing up and always wants to be an event announcer like yourself or Ken, what would you want to give them, like, advice on how to be the best they can be for what they want to do in their life?
Well, I have a cousin, a younger cousin, that got an opportunity to be the public address announcer for a local college basketball team. And he hit me up with, man, what do I do? How do I do this? My advice is be yourself. Not only be yourself, be prepared. Know about what you're going to do. Know about what you're going to talk about. Have storylines for yourself outside of just what's happening in front of you. Know the people that you're talking about. Like I say, just be prepared, but be yourself. If you walk in and there's so many guys that I've ran into over the years, maybe their knowledge of announcing is from the strip club, and you can tell. Next up, you know what I mean? You can tell. So know what you're going to do. Be yourself. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to be Ken. Don't try to be Scott. Be yourself and be prepared.
Definitely. That was definitely some great advice right there. Pulling up at least with the last few at least comments, if anything. We have Carl Van Horn tuning in, just saying, hey, Mr. Know-It-All. And what else did we have? It's a lot of few drivers also. Preston Perez saying amazing announcer and one of the best in the business. And then Brandon also chiming in saying the same exact thing about you and Ken. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and let Cam take back over here, and I'm going to go ahead and hop in the back.
Okay, so I just want to say I learned a lot in strip clubs. Why are you bad-mouthing that? Can you hear me?
I see CVH had a comment there. I see Carl Van Horn had a comment there. I miss that guy. I had some really, really good times with Carl Van Horn in the early 2000s. Seems like I spent almost every week. I wasn't one of those guys for Monster Jam that was just like a a seasonal or a first quarter guy, I did 30 plus weekends a year for that company back in those times. And it seems like most of those weeks were with Carl Van Horn, man. I miss that guy. He's a good dude, man.
He was a lot of fun to be with, but can you hear me again?
Yeah, I got you good.
Okay. So why are you bad mouthing strip clubs? That's where I learned how to announce.
Why are you bad mouthing what?
Strip clubs. That's where I learned how to announce.
Right. It's so comical to me to hear somebody on the PA and have them sound like we're at a strip club. It just, like I say, it's always kind of tickles me with that inflection. Instead of just kind of having a delivery of your own, when they get that, they think they need to do something like that. It's always been funny to me because I'm not a big strip club guy. Haven't been a whole lot, but the strip club I was in, the guy talking sounded exactly like the last guy I heard at the last strip club.
Well, now just because of that, the next show I announce, the first thing I'm going to do, coming to the track right now to get your hearts going, folks. We're going to have Bounty Hunter. I mean, that's amazing. Well, I have one last question for you, and then we're going to let you go and get Kenny on here. And it sucks because I wish I could have both of you at the same time. But if there is one event, and I don't care what it is, football, boxing, what is one dream event that you would love to announce if you ever had the opportunity, whether it be live or television? I mean, what is the one that would just be to catch me out of you?
If I could be anywhere in the building for the Final Four in NCAA basketball, in any facet, whether that is on the radio for the game, on the TV for the game, live broadcast to the fans in the building, that would be something really special to me. I'm a huge basketball fan, but predominantly NCAA basketball. If I could ever get a chance, ever get a shot to be involved with a Final Four, I would be able to put that on my wall and say I've done it all.
Well, the game's missing it because of you. They're losing out. They need to get you in there. I think I'd actually watch that Final Four if I knew you were doing it, because I like college basketball, okay, but I'm not a huge fan. But if I knew you were doing it, I'd definitely watch. But man, I can't thank you enough for being on here. Like I said, unfortunately, we couldn't do it with you and Kenny. And maybe one day when you upgrade from the dial-up service to the bronze package, we can make it happen. But I mean, this is actually one of my coolest ones, having you on here. It's been awesome, and I can't wait to have you on again. And hopefully we can try something a little different, make it work. But thank you very much, and hopefully I get to see you soon.
Buddy, I really appreciate when you called me the other day. I felt pretty honored. I felt pretty proud that you would even think of me and invite me to be on your Monster Cast. I've been watching. You guys do a great job. It's a lot of fun. And I miss you too, Cam. You're one of those guys. This is what I do for a living. I don't have a side gig. I don't have a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. This is what I do. I've been in Spokane now for 25 years-ish. I have zero friends. My friends are on the road because I pay a mortgage here, but I live in hotels prior to 2020. So when I get to see people like Cam Miguez, even your brother Darren, even as sarcastic and as unhappy and grumpy as that bastard is, you guys are my friends, and it means to me to be able to run into you. When I run into people like Dawn Cretan and she gives me a big hug, it just reminds me that I have a pretty good friendship with people on the road. If I have to spend my time on the road, I'm just fortunate enough that I get to spend it with people that I hold very high regard for, good quality people like Cam Miguez. Man, you're a good guy. I appreciate you, and thanks for having me on.
Well, you truly are one of my heroes, and thank you for being on. And like I said, hopefully we see you soon, brother.
Take care. Be safe.
All right, Mason, let's bring in Mr. Navitsky.
Look at you. That was awesome, man. Scotty Heaton's a legend. That was pretty good stuff. Well done, guys. I love that.
I appreciate it. And unfortunately, like I said, it'd been so much cooler if we could have had you on together, because I probably could have just sat back, let you two interview each other, make it sound all professional like, and my ratings go way up, and I just sat here and not say a goddamn word.
Would have been, hey, one of the great things about Scott Heaton is he's such a pro, and every time I've ever worked with him, is my cat. That's Squatch. It's been a learning experience. You know, there's a lot of great people in the industry, and he is absolutely one of the best. And I'm very proud to call him a friend. And hey, it's like I'm honored to be on with him. I wish we were together, but you know what? This is what it is. We'll make the best of it. It was just good stuff.
Well, so now we talked about his beginning. Let's talk about how you got started in this a little bit.
Well, you know, the funny thing about it was about 2005, my brother-in-law got us tickets to this thing called Monster Jam at the Metrodome. And I literally, my response, this is no joke, was, why would you do that? And he goes, oh, you're going to love it, man. You got a 69 GTO, you're a motorhead, you like hot rods. This is the epitome of hot rods. And I said, okay, well, all right. He goes, plus Peyton and Parker will love it. And at the time they were real little kiddos, you know. And I said, okay. So we went, and the pit party was going on, and I saw the way the drivers treated all the fans. And I thought that was pretty extraordinary, how approachable they were. And then the show started, and I saw the love of country and the big flag and the tribute to the troops. And, you know, it brought tears to my eyes. And I remember thinking, no matter what happens during the show, I'm already a fan. And that just was the truth. And then once the show started, it really was an amazing show. And I determined, you know, this is something I wanted to see if I could become a part of. And I started my own company called Monster Mojo Live Events. I did a couple of shows here in town, and Bounty Hunter and Iron Outlaw, when Craig Christensen was driving and your brother was driving Bounty Hunter. They came here, and Paul Strong and Martial Law, and Jim Benzik and Rolling Thunder. We had 2,000 or 3,000 people at our show. It was a great time. And the major sponsor that was there was Magic Media, the billboard company. And the vice president said, I know you sell pharmaceuticals, but this is what you should be doing. You should be doing this. It's never been more clear to me that this is where you belong. And so I put my resume out there, a glossy and some stuff, and I sent it to all of the promoters I could find on the Monster blog. And Ross has done an amazing thing with the Monster blog. And I got one response from Southern Monster Truck Showdown, and I'll never forget it. The company, it was the Orville and Gale. And he says, well, I'll fly in and I'll let you see how good you are. And if you're any good, I'll give you the rest of the shows. It was like 16 weekends or something. Show started, everything was going great. And by intermission, we started our intermission. He left the floor, came up and opened the book. And he goes, any of these shows you want, you can have. Please take all of them if you can. And from that point, I jumped from there to Monster X Tour and Danny Torgerson. He took very good care of me. And through some finagling from Kayla Savage, I got an interview and invited to the Announcer Summit at Monster Jam. And I went from Monster Jam. I was there since 2012. I was the Rookie of the Year, the Rising Star. And then of course, my last endeavor with Hot Wheels Monster Truck Live. So it was an awesome ride so far. It's been amazing. I've met people that I consider family. And so you never know what tomorrow holds. And I tell that to kids all the time and to my friends, because to go from the pharmaceutical industry, suit and tie every day, going in and talking to cardiologists and all the stuff, to all of a sudden being in this industry and traveling literally all over the world, you just don't know what tomorrow holds. So that's kind of the Cliff Notes version of how I got involved in it. And it's been an amazing ride. And man, I've met so many amazing fans and friends, and a lot of them have become part of my family. And it's been great. Cam. There's nothing like it.
Well, I want to get to something here in a second, but before I go there, let's talk about, I talked about Scott, and I'll say this to both of you, and I truly mean it. You also are one of the best in this business. I've watched you do the Monster Jam shows. I've watched you do the smaller shows for other people. I've watched you do Jimmy shows. And both of you, and I've learned from both of you, and I'm not, honest to God, I'm not half the announcer. Either one of you are, and I strive to be better like you guys, but you guys have a flow. And it's different, completely different flows, but they're flows. When you're on there talking, it's just so smooth. Like I said with him, you guys don't miss a beat. You just roll. Nothing stops you. Nothing. You don't ever seem to get tripped up. How do you make that work? He talked about how he did it. How do you just roll?
I think that anytime you're in a show and there's adversity, that's when you start getting paid. Because the reality is live entertainment is relentless. It is totally and completely unpredictable. It is bound and determined to break you if you're not prepared for it. And I'm sure, you said Jimmy and Don, when they do their shows, things happen all the time that are out of their control. It's not prepared for, and they know that they need something or somebody that will fill and entertain. And that's when you start earning your money. For me, it's just, I always try to connect with the fans. My music is always multi-generational. I want everybody to understand exactly what's going on. And I try to talk to people like they don't know, what a sway bar is, or, those are the things that are important to me. So when I'm talking to people, I just want them to know we're having a good time. And most of the promoters bring in really good backup acts like Bobby Cox or somebody, and they also can help fill. But, the reality is when things go sideways, that's kind of when I just focus in and just want to have a good time. And I feel almost like you have a chance to connect with the fans. And that's what I do, whether it's through sarcastic, comments or just having fun or pointing out exactly what's going on. Man, that's just why you get paid, because the show's always going to go on, and you can either get lost in the flow or you can be the flow. And it's always been my point to say, listen, I'm in control of the music, I'm in control of the flow, and I'm not going to get lost in it. We're just going to go, and eventually everything kind of gets back on track, and it works. So I just try not to get lost in any one moment. I try to just keep my eyes on the big picture and keep an eye on what's going on.
Well, now, so I asked Scott this about being with Monster Jam, and in no way is this any knock on Monster Jam, but like I said, we went from just kind of free-flowing, being an announcer, to the scripted side of it. How hard, he didn't make the transition. You did. You were there for quite a while, and I was with you when you were doing it. How hard was it for you, or was it easy just to take that script and just go with it?
Well, the one thing about Feld Entertainment, they're really good at training their people. Jessica Ferris and some of the folks there, they do a really good job of preparing you for the opening and all of the things that follow it. And the script is, how can I say this? Live entertainment is inherently unpredictable. The script is a great thing to have if it's used correctly. However, if you have a problem and the script doesn't fit that problem, you've got to be able to improvise, adapt, and overcome. And that's where the script kind of hurts, because if you are somebody that is a trained actor or actress and you don't know, my cat Squatch, get over there, Squirt, doesn't really know a whole lot about the sport itself, and the script doesn't fit, that's where you'll see things happen. And for people like Scott Heaton and myself, like I said, that's where you start making your money. That's where you earn your money. The script to me, hi, welcome to Monster Jam. My name is Ken Navitsky, and we've got 14 of the biggest monster trucks on the planet doing battle for one trophy here at the home of the Washington Redskins, FedEx Field. It all works great, but I think that when you're a fan of something and you notice that, Ken Navitsky is saying the same thing as Matt Isbell, and Matt Isbell saying the same thing as Keith Jones, and Keith Jones is saying the same thing as Ryan LaCosse. I think it loses that, and I never wanted to be just another, guy saying the same thing. So I didn't necessarily love it. I respected it. I did my very best to make sure that it was carried out the way it was supposed to be carried out, to be a professional. But at the end of the day, I just wanted to make sure that the fans felt some authenticity from our team. And the last team I had was Kay Young, myself, and Joel Santiago, and we were three of the best in the business. And I've been very fortunate. I've worked with some amazing talent. Freddie Shepard is probably one of the greatest in the world. So, the script is something that I did because I was paid to be professional. But man, I think it takes a little bit of the shine away from you as an individual and what you can bring to the show.
So now you make the move from Monster Jam to Hot Wheels. Was that a lot more freeing again? Was that you were allowed to were you allowed to just kind of let go and be you again there?
It was amazing. Freddie Shepard, myself, had no script. We were allowed to pretty much just be ourselves. And, you catch lightning in a bottle. And we were very fortunate. We worked with amazing professionals. Our production manager was second to none, and the tour is first class. You learn that when you think that you're at the pinnacle of your game and you're playing for the best team in the league, so to speak, that when you find something even more incredible and extraordinary, you really realize that, the sky is the limit. And like when I put that video together and everything that happened, I was genuine. I wanted people to understand that it meant a lot to me. And it was something that at the moment when it happened was incredibly devastating to me. And I knew that it was going to hurt my family. And it was over something that was so stupid and ridiculous. And this cancel culture that we're living in right now is just unbelievable. But it was on me. I knew that there were things that I should steer clear of, and I've come to peace with it. But my last job, there was no script, man. We were literally free to go and have a great time. And that's when you can tell, Cam, when you've got somebody that is truly a partner. It was seamless between Freddie and I. And he knew when I was going to say something and come out. He knew vice versa. It was effortless with Freddie. So we definitely had, in my estimation, if not the best, one of the greatest tandems in motorsport. And I'm very sorry to Freddie and to all the fans and to everybody in the organization for allowing somebody to take something so completely out of context and create such a firestorm over, something so utterly ridiculous. But at the end of the day, it's on me, and we're moving forward. We can talk a little bit more about what's going on, but Cam, things are looking good, no doubt about it.
Well, and I don't want to sit here and dwell on the negative. I mean, most people watch this probably know what happened. A lot of us don't agree with it and don't want to agree with it. And hopefully things will pan out the way they should pan out in the end. But you've moved on. You've gone and you've announced some other shows for other people. You went and did a Beckley show in Kalispell. I believe you went to Pennsylvania for All-Star. I mean, how's it been? I mean, you're getting back to kind of the beginning a little bit, and not starting over. But I mean, it's back to the smaller summertime 3-4 truck shows. I mean, how's that been?
Ed Beckley's been generous to me. I think the world of that. He has never been anything but kind to me. And when he called me up, it was 3 or 4 days into, me being released. And he basically said, Kenny, I know you as a Christian. I know your heart. I know your soul. And I'd love to have you come work a couple of shows for me. I've been blessed. I've got a show in Kalispell, and I've got one in Forsyth, Montana. I'd never been to Montana. It was one of the few states I had left to get to. And it was fortuitous. So I had a chance to go do those shows, and Ed was first class all the way. He took great care of me, and I'm very thankful for that. And, the one thing in all of this that I think is important, because, I had so many people reaching out to me saying, Kenny, what are you doing? How's everything going? I had somebody today, Amber, a very good friend of mine, said, No nonsense, no bullshit. What's going on? How are you? What are you doing? And I can sum it up like this. I've always been a man of faith. I knew that my job was going to be challenging for me to not only ever see my daughter run track in college, she goes to Platteville, University of Wisconsin-Platteville, but to see my son play his senior year, and hopefully he has a senior year in high school football, and then possibly be blessed enough to watch him and maybe tailgate and go see him play some college football. And Cam, my prayer was always, if there's a way for this to work out, and I can be a father and I can be there for my kids and still be able to provide for my family, I would be thankful for that. And, you know, nobody knows what tomorrow holds. You know, the good Lord laughs while we make our plans. This has all given me an opportunity to reconnect with my son. And last weekend, we went to Dordt University in Iowa and Augustana University in Sioux Falls. And he had a chance to tour the universities. And this weekend, I know Jimmy's a little disappointed in me, but I got to be there for my son this weekend. He's going to Minnesota State University, my alma mater. I'm a proud Maverick. And then he's going to go to Morningside College on Sunday. And then Monday, we're going to Northern State University. So I'm having an opportunity to actually be here and go see my son enjoy the things that I enjoyed when I was a college recruit. So it's not all bad. I absolutely want to continue doing shows, but right now I've been blessed with a great job in town here. A very good friend of mine called, and I have no problem saying I was at a very low point. 2.5, 3 weeks after this happened, I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. Where was I going to go? I didn't want to go back into pharmaceuticals. Would they even want me? I didn't understand the path, and I've gotten an opportunity here, and it's better than I could have ever hoped for, and it allows me the freedom financially to do things and be a father and a husband, and maybe get a chance to catch my daughter running track in college. So I would say things are good, and I'm open to doing shows by all means, but it is really nice to have the option to say I'm going to go do something with my son or my daughter or my family and not have to do that show because it's my paycheck. And so I think I've been blessed a little bit, and I never would have thought a month ago that I would be able to say that. But Cam, it's been an amazing, amazing time, and I'm very thankful for everything that's happened.
Well, and that's the one thing we all struggle with. I mean, it's trying to be that parent, the husband, the wife, all of us. So cool that you get that opportunity, but I guarantee we've got quite a few comments of people got to either want to say hi or ask you a question. So Mason, what do we got for Mr. Navitsky?
Mason, what's up, man?
Nothing much. Awesome. Really thankful to have you on right now. Just pulling up a few of these questions, make sure we're all set up and ready to go here. Go ahead and continue it back off with Levi Shones again. A question for you saying, Uncle Ken, what was the most fun time you've had on the microphone, and how's your clothing line going?
Yo, Levi, man. Levi's so awesome, dude. I love Levi. Levi, listen, Stealth-Performance is still out there. I've got a friend of mine that purchased it, and I'm kind of a consultant for Stealth PFX now. I just didn't have the time to get involved and do the things that needed to be done. And my good friend Pat took it, and he's running with it, and he's doing a great job. I don't know what the future holds for Stealth PFX, but Pat's such a good man. It was what's one of my best times, man. I've had so many amazing times. I think being a part of, so many amazing promoter shows like Monster Truck Throwdown and Elliott and Monster Jam and Hot Wheels Monster Truck Live and No Limits Monster Trucks, Monster X. My favorite parts of the shows, in all honesty, are when I get a chance to just hang out with people that love something so much and they want to be a part of it, and I can connect with them and kind of bring them over and let them know that, man, I was just like you and I get it. And I've always made the comment that I was just a dude on the outside looking in, and I had an opportunity to come and sit at the cool table. And when I had a chance to go sit at the cool table, I never changed. I was always still me. And my problem was that I was always grabbing chairs, trying to bring all my friends up that I made that were fans to sit at the cool table, because I wanted everybody to have a chance to sit there and understand you're not on the outside looking in, man. You're part of this. And, people like Levi, he works so hard, and he's willing to do so much to be a part of this. And he's a perfect example. He sits at the cool table every weekend. Whenever I'm in town, he doesn't have to worry about where he's sitting. Levi sits his ass right next to me at the cool table, because that's one of my boys right there.
Awesome. Definitely glad to see a lot of likes from him on the whole time when you were talking there. But following up here on another announcer question, wasn't able to get to it when Scott was on, but luckily Scott just answered it to Christopher in the comments here. Christopher Allen has a question saying, when I announce, I have a pre-written script. I like to take the booth with me for fluency's sake. Should I continue that or improve on speaking off the cuff?
Man, I'll tell you what, we all get in where we fit in. And if the script or your pre-written thing is something that makes you comfortable, you should always have it in front of you, because you'll always have that baseline. And as you do something more and more and more, whether it's kicking footballs or throwing baseballs or whatever, it doesn't matter what it is, you will get into a comfort zone. I'm working with a gentleman named Mark Warner who's really trying hard to become an announcer. And Scott hit it right on the head. That's why he's a legend. Be yourself. And whatever you need to be the top, the A game, the number one thing that you can aspire to be, use it. So if you got a little script and an opening thing, dude, roll with it. Have fun with it. And hopefully you get enough gigs to where when you're doing it, you don't even have to look down at it anymore. You just got it down pat. And trust me, man, it's all fun. It's good times. And when you're having a good time as an announcer or a host, it's like being the host of the party. Everybody else will be having a good time. So just really understand that, make wherever you're at the place to be. And if that's the place to be, then damn it, you're doing a good job, and enjoy it, because it can, the good Lord never knows. Might not be here tomorrow, but have fun today.
Amen with that. Here's one from Don Cretan saying, hey, Kenny, my question to you is, do you have any plans for the first week of November?
The first week in November. I would imagine it's going to probably be doing a Jimmy Cretan or Don Cretan show. I would imagine. I'm thinking that's probably what that was right there for me to spin around here and look at my schedule. But right now, my schedule is pretty wide open, and I would probably be available for that. And one never knows. The most important thing, and Don knows this, listen, there is no secret. I adore Don Cretan. He is absolutely the best of the best. She's the top. And the funny thing is whenever you're on the road with Jimmy and Don and the whole crew, Austin and Tutal, it is truly a family. And that's one of the reasons why I love doing Jimmy's shows. I know Jimmy's a little upset with me because I couldn't do the show this weekend, but I have a really good read. And I'll definitely probably be open that first weekend in November, because I got to get my fix with Kilo Extreme Racing, and I miss Donnie and Jimmy and everybody. So I'm gonna have to make that happen, I think.
So back here from the last story you're talking about, she was following up and saying you never invited her to the cool table, though.
Well, she didn't realize it, but she was the cool table. So every single time I was hanging out with her, she was pretty much the cool table. That was where we're supposed to sit. So, Don, that's why I was always bringing so many people around you. It was because you basically exemplified the cool table. And I just wanted everybody to get to know how cool you were, because, I knew that. So it was time for me to spread the love and let everybody see the charisma of Don. But don't ever hug Don. Don will hug you. You don't hug Don. That's how it works. She's it's one of those things. So whenever Don's like, okay, we can, all right, let me do that. So just know that. There's a little inside on there for you.
Funny stuff. I'm going to go ahead and bring it with a few more fan questions or comments here. with Christian Bialik saying, Kenny, you're easily one of my favorite announcers on the mic. You really make it shows fun to have for the fans. I've seen you everywhere from the World Finals pit parties up to the Hot Wheels Monster Truck live shows. Question for you, though. If you somehow had the opportunity to drive any monster truck, which one would it be?
Man, that is a great question. And I want him, I genuinely in my soul appreciate your compliments. It means everything to me. And whether you're a driver, somebody that works on the track, somebody that is behind the scenes as a producer or a host, we all do what we do because we love it, and we truly hope that we are making an impact. And, when you say things like that, it means the world to us, because it just basically says we're doing exactly what we're trying to do. So my favorite monster truck, if I could ever drive one, would be the yellow Dragon Slayer Hummer H1, not this Jeep nonsense. I want the Hummer H1 body on it, and I want the rally tire in the back. Hold on, if you bear with me for 2 seconds here, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about here, because I've got a good truck. This is the Dragon Slayer here, see? And this is a Hummer H1. It's got the rally tire in the back. And Craig Christensen, he did a pretty good job driving it, but this would be my truck of choice. And the reason being is because I love actual trucks, Ford, Chevys, Toyotas, Expeditions, Hummers, Humvees. Kids love Humvees. And I always thought that was the coolest truck on the tour. And I love seeing the Dragon Slayer now with the, whatever the hell it's called, the Scrambler Jeep or whatever they call them. But the Hummer, this one right here, this one was bad to the bone. Bad to the bone, right there.
You're here. What's up, Cam?
So can you hear me now?
Yep.
I hear you.
Okay, so I just want to make sure we're clear. You're saying you love Hummers.
I think that I stand with most gentlemen. It is a very unique thing.
Okay.
You have a good Hummer like this. Look at that.
Yeah, a good Hummer is a good Hummer is hard to beat. All right, Mason, go ahead. I just want to.
All right, here's another fan comment here from Tina Jones Smith saying, Ken, Scotty spotted his picture above your head, and she was just making sure that they all miss you.
Look at that there. Woo! That's why Scotty, I don't go anywhere. He's in here. I got a Connor one. I got a Scotty one. I got a friend that's battling cancer one. But there's my boy right there. Isn't he pretty? Where the hell is this camera? Look at that handsome devil there. Yeah, that's my boy Scotty. I love him and his mom. And she brings you pepperoni rolls to the show. It doesn't get any better. But that is what is so awesome about the industry. They're family. Scotty is family. All you guys are appreciated when you come to a show that I'm at. I'm no better than anybody. You guys are what make it important. And you should know that. When you come to a Jimmy or Don show or a Monster Truck Throwdown or any of these shows, you guys mean a lot more than you think you do. You think you're just fans, but you're not. You guys are family. Don't kid yourself. So that's my boy, Scotty. I don't put that picture there just for this stuff. That picture is there all the time. Never leave.
Amazing. Another fan comment from Dustin Spallone here saying, I enjoy any show we're at together, Ken, and especially the end of your tradition at Okeechobee. Looking forward to hopefully seeing you there and getting back there to see Ken, Cam, Mason, everybody at the Two Extreme gang.
Man, that Okeechobee show is a great time. And, that's one of those things where you can tell Jimmy's intensity for the sport is through the roof. He genuinely takes that show as one of the most important shows of his Two Extreme racing show. And he doesn't cut any corners, man. He's doing backflips. He's jumping over Scarlet Bandit. He's doing it all. So if you get a chance to get out to Okeechobee, it is worth every penny because he brings in great trucks. And, man, we pack up that little arena, and it is exciting. It's electric inside there, no doubt.
And I want Hillbilly back.
Yes.
That dude was so awesome.
He was good. It was great.
What else you got, Mr. Mason?
You got more?
Yep, got a few more here. Here's one from Lee Plato asking, Kenny, have you ever thought about promoting your own shows?
You know, Lee, I actually had a company called Monster Mojo Live Events, and my show's names were Monster Fest. And I did several of them, and it was one of those things where the people that were coming to my shows were like, you know, this is great, but if you're willing to put your name out there, I'll give you the shows to do, and I'll pay you. And instead of risking losing $15,000, you'll be able to go home with X amount of dollars. So, Lee, yeah, I had a show. I had promoted shows, and I've worked for some of the greatest. George Eisenhart, you know, he was one of the guys that taught me everything. And to this day, he is by far one of the greatest promoters in the history of the sport in my mind. But if I do, it'll have to be a great situation. But man, I love working for Elliot and you know, Jimmy and Don and Danny and Ed. Those, you know, it's such a stressful thing to put together, and there's so many things that can go wrong that I think my best value is just being there on the mic and helping them get through, and they compensate me well. They take good care of me. I have no complaint.
All right, let's see. Ending off here with a high note here in some ways. We have one from Brian Manson. We weren't able to get it off with Scott, but we want to know from you, what is your best rental car story?
The best rental car story. Man, you know, Brian, you're going to be disappointed, man. I'm a good guy with these rental cars. I mean, I know there have been drivers that have rolled them through intersections and driven them through walls. And all right, I would say one of the coolest rental car stories I have is I was at MetLife Stadium, and it was back when we would just start the intro flow, okay? And we started rehearsing that. Well, they couldn't get the monster trucks to do it, so everybody had to go get their rental cars to do the practice run through the intro. And I'm standing there with another good announcer, Todd Moore, and we're standing in the tunnel, and Dennis Anderson rolls up in this big old beautiful Expedition, and he's sitting with, I think it was BK. BK was in the front seat with him, one of the legendary track guys. And I looked at Todd and I'm like, man, let's get in. This is Dennis Anderson, man. Let's a freaking guy, you know. And we hop in, and Dennis just looks back and goes, hey, what's up, fellas? Not a worry. And we're doing the practice round in this Ford Expedition, and he's hitting all these big old whoopty-whoops and everything, and shit's flying off the truck. And I just remember thinking, this is crazy. I'm driving with the legend, Dennis Anderson, and as he's going by, you know, there's a gaggle of 100 people because it's in New York, and all the reporters are watching it, and he's waving out the window at them, hey, look at all the people up there, you know, and it was just cool because if you've never met Dennis Anderson is one of the guys. Tom Mentz, one of the fellas. Man, they are just as true and real as the day is long. And I remember one night, I know this is going a little long, but I remember I was in a hotel across the street from the Sky Dome in Toronto. And this is something that a lot of people don't see. And it had ceiling to floor windows, and I was kind of getting ready, and I had noticed that Dennis was walking across the street, and he had his crew shirt on, and he was walking across the street, and it was probably 120 yards. He could get to the security door in the Sky Dome to get in the Sky Dome. And I watched Dennis stand out there in the plaza for 40 minutes, taking pictures and talking with people and just being a cool dude. And I have those stories about everybody. Don Cretan, Jimmy Cretan, Craig Christensen, Tom Mentz. I mean, you go down the list, John Seasock. There isn't a moment, Bailey Shea, when I haven't witnessed something extraordinary from a driver that people look at as if they are heroes. and the driver absolutely acquiesces and spends time with the fans. And that is probably the greatest thing I can say about this industry is it is permeated at all levels by amazing people that genuinely care about what's going on. Very few prima donnas I've ever met. And even the prima donnas, they're so few and far between. I've watched Medusa with fans standing in the heat with just sweltering heat in Vegas, one right after the other, talking to her about wrestling. And God bless her, she just stood there with every single one of them and made them feel as if they were the most important thing. So that's what it's all about. It really, truly is what it's all about.
Well, I got to ask you my two questions I asked Scott, because this is always stuff that throws me. But first one is I asked him the biggest blunder you've had, like, so whether it be he dropped the MF bomb on the mic during the show once. So what is yours? Whether it's something you said on the mic, you fell down, fell out of the stands, kicked a baby. I mean, what's the biggest blunder you've had doing this?
Well, I did drop kind of an accidental F-bomb when I was doing the virtual Outlaw Monster Truck drags. I called the truck Cluster Truck. Let's be honest. If you're going to name the truck Cluster Truck, I think we know what you're aiming for. And that slid out. But that was virtual. And only couple thousand people saw it. The biggest blunder I had, but I've had some really good ones. But this is one of my favorite. I was in Indianapolis, and I was the third host, and it was my job to drive the cart out while they were flipping the trucks over and getting them back on all fours. And I had to have a mic, and it was my job to grab the driver and have the mic ready so I could do a quick interview. So I'm driving out there, and it was Charles Benz, and he was driving. It was one of the monster mutts. I don't know if it was a Rottweiler or it was one of them. Indianapolis, 66,000 people. It was sold out. And he goes out there, does his thing, rolls the truck. The place is going nuts. And they're like, go, 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 go. So we're driving up, and I'm driving over in this cart and shit flying all over the place, and the microphone's bouncing around. I finally get out there to them, and they had already turned his truck over. And, we don't have time to wait. You got to go. So I didn't even get a chance to hand them the mic. They said, all right, Kenny, move. Get off the floor. Get off the floor. So I looked at him, and I said, hang on. And I didn't realize it. So I floored the golf cart, and I'm getting ready to get off the floor, and I take a left turn looking away from him, and all I hear is the crowd go, oh. And I thought, ooh, what did I miss? I dumped his ass out of the cart going full speed because instead of holding on, he was trying to open up his fire suit to show a Colt shirt or something. His ass went head over heels about 3 times in front of 66,000 people, and I'm driving, and it took me 25 yards to realize he wasn't in the car with me. And I looked up on the Jumbotron, and there's his ass laying in the dirt. I'm like, what am I going to do? So I turned around, and I went and I got him. And and he jumped in, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I said, dude, I told you to hang on. And he goes, yeah, I know, but I was trying to steal my shirt. I'm like, don't do that. So that was probably the funniest because it happened in front of so many people. And it was just awesome. I'll never forget.
I just like how you turned it and then blamed it back on him. Well, I told you to hang on. So
hang on. I got a job to do. And he's a grown man. Hang on. And he's trying to do the Superman thing. And then hang on. He was fine, though. And I know Charles remembers that. That was, and we've had some good ones. And then, anytime something happens where you can't compose yourself and you're just getting into like the little kids laughing in church scenario, those are funny too. And, but that's also part of the stuff that makes it so awesome. It really is.
Well, okay. So the other question I had was, you're obviously a huge sports fan, so I think I know where this is going to go. But I asked, what is the if there's one event you can announce before your career is all over, whether any kind of sport, like Scott's was being anywhere in the building for the NCAA Final Four. So any event that you could announce, whether it be on TV or live, whatever, what would it be?
I would say I would love to be College Game Day. I would love to be on College Game Day. I love college football with all my heart. I'm very blessed because of college football. And Minnesota State, great. And I would say I think that would be the dream job. It would be great. And I would also love to be a host for Major League Soccer, MLS. A little too much virtue signaling going on for me over there right now. But, I mean, right now I think that being a host for College Game Day would be the greatest honor. I just think it's so fun. And that's my Saturday. Even when I'm doing shows for Jimmy Don, whoever it is, Monster Jam, whoever, if I can get up on Saturday and watch College Game Day before I have to go to the arena or the stadium, it's I get my fix and I'm a happy guy. And, that's what I would do, I think, Cam, without question.
See, I think you guys have all gone the wrong direction. If I had to pick my dream one, I think it would be the Playboy Playmate of the Decade mud wrestling competition.
No,
that's mine. I mean, that's what I would like to do someday.
I think that I'm not even surprised at that. Honestly, you're half blind anyway. You'd have to be up really, really, really close to see what was going on.
It's going to be in-pit coverage.
I love it. Hey, the one thing I do want to say, Cam, because I know we're getting ready to get off, is I just want to say this. This is the first time I've been on camera since everything happened. And, one of the first people that called me after all this happened was Scott Heaton. And his words to me brought tears to my wife's eyes. And you'll very rarely find a more classy, more patriotic, and more caring person than Scott Heaton. And I just want to take this moment. I don't know how many people will watch this, but your notes, your text messages, your mail, dude, it was amazing. And the one thing that I got out of all of this is you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Okay, be very aware of what you're doing and pay attention on social media. You don't ever know what's going to happen tomorrow. So protect yourself. But what happened really proved to me that what we do matters and what we do has an impact. If I could show people all the pictures that I received in text messages, Facebook messages, emails, pictures with kids, friends, fans, family. It humbled me to a point that I can't even explain. So anybody who took the time to reach out to me, I want you to know that I love you. It meant everything to me. It took me 3 days to get through the text messages, the emails, the Facebook messages, the phone calls before I could even go and look at the thread on the video. And my wife said, you're not even going to want to see the thread on the video. It's just, you're going to be a big puddle for the next day. And so when I finally got back, it just reaffirmed to me that everything happens for a reason. I was so humbled. I never thought anybody would care like that. And every note I read, every message I read, I tried to respond to everybody, or at least like their comments. So, Cam, what we do matters. And I always have tried to be approachable. I've always tried to make sure that I've been there for people. And I'll say this one more time. I apologize to everybody for letting all you guys down and no longer being where I was. But with that being said, the path that I'm on right now is, I'm convinced, amazing. And I'm going to have a chance to be a father to my son his senior year and get back together and be in a family and helping him with his choice for college. And I think that, the Lord laughs while we make our plans. So thank you so much for having me on here, Cam and Mason. It's been amazing. I wish I could have been on with skinny old Scott Heaton. but it's been amazing, and I really appreciate you guys actually caring and reaching out and seeing what was going on.
Well, dude, I mean, I couldn't, when we talked about doing an announcer episode, it was a little different than what we've been doing with all drivers, but we wanted to get a different angle on what we do and what gets done to make these shows happen. And you're my first two choices. I mean, with Scott Heaton and Ken Navitsky, I couldn't have think two guys. Unfortunately, we couldn't have you both on together due to technical difficulties, and that sucks. But maybe in the future we can get that all worked out and have you both on. But I love you, brother, and I'm glad to see you guys doing well. Glad to see you're back up and perked up again, see you being you again, and hopefully see you at a show here very soon.
Well, I think that'll happen. Now, Mason, you can hear me, right?
Yep.
Did you get one more question that somebody sent you that you're like, oh, damn, I wish I had just asked? Is there any question that you're looking at going, man, I wish this would have came through? I'll give you a shot for one or two more questions, and then I'm going to bounce out of here. Did you have anything left?
Yeah, it's from Levi again, and we're breaking the streak here, as Cam likes to joke about. But Levi's favorite question he likes to ask, he waited off for this one, but he wants to know, Ken, Hooters or JT Schmitz?
Woo! Man, Hooters is a good thing. I'm going to have Hooters.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cam? Hooters?
I hate that question. I can't wait.
We could drive our bomber over to Hooters. We could drive them over backwards.
Yeah, I'm gonna drown Levi Shones and Hooters sauce one day.
I love it. Any more? You good?
The last one I wanted to at least try to get out was the same question I was able to ask Scott. For anybody that's watching in the future, what would you like in notes or advice would you want to give a future announcer for anyone in the motorsport or in just the sport in general? Like, what advice would you want to give them to move forward?
Get your name out there, and there's always promoters that are willing to give you a shot, and your first few paychecks might not be anything worthy. You might even have to do a show for free to prove your worth. You know, there's no shame in that. You know, it's like, oh, well, if you give stuff away, the values, you're right. That's true. But when you're trying to get out there, if you truly believe in what you're trying to get accomplished and you think you can do it, tell the promoter, cover my expenses. I'll do one show for you for free, and then you're paying. And get out there and use all the resources you can, like the monster blogs. Get on there, go to the promoters' pages, and hit them up. Just hit them up with who you are. And, man, Cam knows this. It's all about passion. If you love doing something, it's contagious, and it rubs off on people. And like I said, man, if you're in charge and you're having a good time, everybody's having a good time. So that would be my advice, Mason. Do that for sure.
All right, brother. Thank you very much. Sorry, Mason, I didn't mean to cut you off, bud. Go ahead.
Nope, that was it. You're good.
Yeah, shut up then.
Appreciate you guys, man. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And, you know, check back in a little while. We'll see what's going on here.
We will see you soon, brother. I appreciate it.
God bless, guys. All the best. Love you guys. See you.
See you, brother. All right. I just want to apologize to everybody. We were hoping we could really have them both on the same time. Scott's internet, he lives in the country, and so we knew it possibly was going to be a problem. And even which we normally don't ever really pre-test before the show, but we were doing it to see if we could work, and trying to have three of us on at the same time was just too much. That's why we had to do it the way we did. But fortunately, we got to interview both of them. Both great interviews, amazing announcers. I mean, I'm not aspiring to be an announcer. I'm doing it to help people and just kind of do things and kind of get away from working on trucks a little bit because of my body. But though I've learned a ton from them too. I use a lot of the stuff I've seen them guys do and say, and so I'm really just a copycat. I'm not going to lie. I'm not even going to pretend I'm anything else. But I want to thank everybody for watching. Mason, before we announce the next show, you got a little sponsor stuff to do there, homie?
Of course. We have Florida Sauce Slinger's own Spur Hot Sauce. They are a Florida-based business where the Southwest meets the Southeast in a clash of hot and tangy flavors. Next time you want to spice up your next meal, think of Spur Hot Sauce. Make sure to give them a like and contact on Facebook or Instagram. Tell them MonsterCast sent you. Of course, also we have Monster Truckinator TV, the place to go on for anything new and old monster truck related. Awesome guys, and can't wait to see what more coverage from a past or future show they're going to give us next.
I've seen some of the stuff from Bloomsburg. He's got some really cool stuff on there. If you guys want to check out any of the Jamboree stuff, he's definitely got some cool coverage. Also, Cheech and Brad had some really cool stuff on there too from the Jamboree, and it was cool to see live stuff. I know I said I was going to try and go live from Arkansas Friday night. We were just slammed. It was hotter than the blazes of hell, and trying to get track set up and truck set up, it was a lot. So this Wednesday, we're doing something completely different. My wife has approached me about she wants to host a podcast Wednesday night. She wants to do a Wives of Monster Trucks edition. So we're going to have my wife, Mindy, hosting this. I'm going to help a smidge. But we're going to have Dawn Cretin on. And we're going to have one other wife we've been talking to, but I haven't fully confirmed it yet. So hopefully I get that full confirmed. But they want to come on and talk about the other side of what we do. I mean, we always talk about what we do at the shows and the traveling, stuff like that. But there is a completely other side of our business, is like a Dawn, who is part owner of a team. She's a driver of a monster truck, but she's also a mother of 4. Now she's a grandmother of 1. And talking about that aspect of, how hard it is, she's a lot of times she has the kids by herself, now they're all older. It's not as bad. But, my wife, who is the wife of an employee of a monster truck team who was on the road a lot, not so much. I don't do it near as much as I did, but for a few years I did a lot. And she was here with the kids working a full-time job. And like I said, we have somebody else we're talking to that has a different aspect of it as well. It's not going to be a complaining fest. It's not going to be a whining fest, but just seeing a different side of the business as well as not just during the shows and during the things. So I think it's actually going to be very, very interesting. They're both very funny and smart ass, so I think it's going to be fun. So I think it's going to be cool. Just a different look on things. So I talked to Mason about it. Asked Mason if he's cool with this. He said, hell yeah, let's do it. So hopefully tomorrow I can announce the third that's going to be involved. So that's Wednesday night. Mason, did I miss anything else? Oh,
no.
Well, actually we did. I did miss something else. So I don't know if you had one. Due to technical difficulties, I was unable to get Christopher Allen's video on tonight. I'm sure he had one. Did he have one, Mason?
Yes, he did.
Okay, you know what? I can't take this away from Christopher. He has done an amazing job. So I know a lot of people probably aren't, as many people aren't watching, and I know the guys are done, but why don't we play it? I mean, like I said, Christopher he works hard on these things. I don't want to just ignore it. So why don't we go ahead and play it real quick?
Of course.
Hi there, Monster Truck fans. Christopher Allen, the Monster Truck Guru, is returning for a special edition of Monster Truck Fact of the Week. This go around, we're going off the track and into the announcer's booth with 2 of the most recognizable voices in the sport, Ken Navitsky and Scott Heaton. Originally from Sarasota, Florida, Ken began announcing events in high school before graduating with a communications degree from Michigan State University. Over the years, Ken has called the action live for promoters like Monster X Tour, Monster Nationals, and most recently Hot Wheels Monster Trucks Live, along with doing television work for Monster Jam on both Speed TV and Fox Sports 1. Kenny's fact is that in 2012 he won the Monster Jam Rookie of the Year Award in Announcers category and followed that up with a Rising Star Award the very next year. Scott Heaton has been announcing various live events for over 25 years, founding his own company, Road Noise Entertainment, in 1999. Scott has called the action for Monster Jam and Toughest Monster Truck Tour as just the tip of the iceberg. His signature, "Are you ready?" is unmistakable in the world of monster truck announcing. Scott's fact is that over his many years at Monster Jam, he was a longtime fixture at their events in Chase Field in Phoenix. Just a small few of the moments he was there for include Bounty Hunter's surprise freestyle win in 2007, Craig Christian and Donkey Kong's upset victory in 2010, and Gravedigger's rollover in Intros 2012, to name just a few. And that does it for this special edition of Monster Truck Fact of the Week, fans. Please like Monster Truck It with Jim and Chris on Facebook and Instagram. Please like this page for new episodes. And remember, Monster Trucks forever.
All right, goddamn, my kid knows a lot. Amazing. I appreciate you doing that. Like I said, I don't want to take that away from him. My kid works hard on those and does great ones. Another thing I want to say about Christopher real quick, and I think I was off at the time. Christopher asked about, reading the skip and what he should do. I've heard Christopher announce personally, Mason, I know you have. Dude, just keep doing what you're doing. You're rocking. I mean, I love it. I actually, for the first time ever in Del Mar last year, I went up to the track during intro so I could hear Christopher introduce, which I never do. I always just stay in the back and stay out of the way and just wait for my truck to come back. But I actually went up to hear it, and he's doing a great job. I couldn't be prouder of him. So thank you to Christopher and his family for what they're doing. These clips are cool as hell. Also, probably not Wednesday, but starting from that point on, we're going to get back to the Too Tall movie quote of the week. But we just went long tonight, so I didn't get to do it. He had a good one, so we're going to save it for the next one. God, I'm just kind of rambling tonight, ain't I?
That's a little bit. It's all good, especially with my little rambling point on Chris. The first time I met him at Del Mar as well, a few years back, he really astonished me and blew me out of the water with how much he knew about trucks. And seeing him announce the first time, it was almost inspiring to me, just like seeing like what he wanted to do and how far he was wanting to reach to go out there and do that. So definitely, yeah, I'm really glad to have him with a little segment on our podcast, and can't wait to meet him again in a show someday. But yeah, with that, great episode, good times. Answering your mom's question, no, I have not gotten a haircut. Everything here is currently re-shut down again. I'm thankful that you think it was cut, because that to me means a lot. But no, it's the same thing like it's been every past few weeks. Also like to thank and give a shout out to our buddy and watcher and listener, Michael. He actually got to drive with Team Throttle Monster this weekend. He burned it down in freestyle. Good ups to him. Can't wait to see what Bristol's going to do and any of the things he's going to do here in the future. But with that, is there anything else you'd like to close out with, Cam, or your your finisher?
I think we're good. So I guess I'll just end this with this concludes the broadcast of the evening. We will see you guys next time. So get the hell out of here. I'm going.